then you fall back. Giving me signs that I've seen before. Yeah, it's cute, but honey, I want more. Don't waste no more time. No, no. You don't have to wait for it tonight. You don't have to be so damn polite. No, no.
All right, man. Like I said, man, I'm back. I don't know what was going on my audio there for a second, but I'm gonna go ahead and run that right back. I'm in the building. So shout out to everybody tuning in. Sorry about that. I forgot I had my mic on mute. That was my bad. I'm a little rusty. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's been a while since I've been doing this, but yeah, I should have at least made sure I had my mic cut on. If you can hear me, you can go ahead and get in the comment section. Let me know you can hear me, but I'm pretty sure you can. Once again, man, like I said, shout out to my boy Birdie who just came back home. Shout out to my boy G Phrase. We're gonna be back with the brown paper bag pretty soon. Yeah, it's Black History Month. So I was just talking about this before. I was like, I'm not gonna say acknowledge it. I'm just gonna kind of change it up a little bit. And instead of doing Black History Month, where you normally get the same 10 to 15 people every year, you know, you get your Jackie Robinsons, your MLK, your Harriet Tubman, people like that. You know, I kind of want to go and kind of talk into a little bit of the nuanced history, because a big deal right now on social media is the historical lineage of Black people in the United States. There's a group who believe that the majority of the people came off of slave ships, right? There's another group of people saying that we was already here, and then there's people who honestly just don't care and things like that. But you know, it's very popular right now, so I'm just going to briefly touch on it. And I'm calling it, instead of Black History Month, I'm going to call it Forgotten History Month, because I feel like everything that we learned in our history books, I'm not going to say it was incorrect. I'm just going to say they highlighted what they wanted to highlight and they left off some stuff. So you can do, you know, Google some of these, this person that I'm about to put up on the screen if you want to. That's on you. Real quickly, tonight, I'm going to talk about John Horse, just real quickly. John Horse was born in 1818. He was what was known as a Black Seminole Indian, meaning that there were Seminoles, and then there were actually, like I said, they were actually Native Americans, Indians, whatever you want to call them, that mixed together down in Florida. So he was called a Black Seminole, and he fought in what was called the Second Seminole War. If you've never heard about the Seminole Wars, you might want to Google it, because the way we learned in high school, it was Revolutionary War, War of 1812, Civil War, and then we pretty much, I think maybe the Spanish-American War somewhere in there, and then World War I, World War II, and then y'all know where it goes from there. But he was a scout, that he eventually ended up being a scout for the American Army. Then he ended up working for the Mexican Army. Then he came back to work for a scout one last time to try to be an intermediary between the U.S. Army and the Seminole leaders during that time, because, like I said, there was negotiations going on between them. So if you got some spare time, Google who John Horse is. But tonight's show, like I said, is called a social reality check. I think a lot of times we as individuals, when I say social, it's not just even necessarily, like I know I'm talk about dating, but it expands further than that, right? It goes into, it could be your career. It could be if you have children. It could be their behavior, how they interact with other people. But for the sake of this person, we're gonna also talk about how it is your reality check when you're in the dating realm, you know. And I had thought about doing this topic for a while now. I guess I just been kind of waiting for the right time to come back and start the show back up. But I think that a social kind of sort of reality check is necessary, because I feel like it's gotten a little bit out of hand, right? We are, in our minds, something else is going on besides what is reality. And I think that's a big problem, because your reality and what you have in your mind, they should be connected. So if they're not connected, and what you're seeing in your, in reality and what you believe you're seeing are not the same, then there's obviously a disconnect there. So let me just go ahead and get right into it. The first part of it that I want to talk about is your social reality check is, of course, your self-image, right? So if you look in this picture, there's a girl who's looking in the mirror, and obviously her nose does not look like that, but your self-image, to the more positive side or to the negative side, can distort your reality, right? There's some of you out there that might believe that they are more attractive than what the world perceives them. I know everybody says, beauty is in the eye of the beholder and all those different things. I'm not going to start talking about any sort of beauty standards, anything like that. I'm just saying you have to understand, like, to me, it's about the law of averages, right? It's about the majority of the people who you run into, and I'm not talking about your friends. I'm talking about strangers. I'm talking about just random people. What are the majority of the people who don't know you personally saying about you from a physical perspective? You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes, like I said, because, and this one deals a little bit more with the women, but, some men are starting to do it too. The filters and things are actually skewing what you believe you're seeing versus what you have in reality. A lot of times, I'll look at these pictures and people will be like, no filter, but then, you'll look down and they got like a pound of makeup on. And I'm just like, well, the makeup is a filter. You understand what I'm saying? So we do different things, with the hair, with the just different selections and things that we do. A lot of times, we might try to alter our bodies to try to make things look smaller or bigger than they really appear to be. Once again, all you're doing is you're doing yourself a disservice, because at the end of the day, you're just going to be distorting that reality. Because if your stomach is a certain size and you got to put on a girdle or you got to put on something else to try to make it look smaller, what size your stomach is. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot of different things that we're doing to kind of sort of alter that self-image to try to be what we want it to be, but it's not necessarily matching up. So I think that first reality check is you got to check your self-image. How do you view yourself versus how do others perceive you? Now we got through the physical part. Now let's go through the other perceptions that matter. How do people pursue your personality? Do they perceive your personality as, are you a positive person? And you say, you know, and you're in a relationship. How do people perceive you? They perceive you as being a good partner. Do they perceive you as being a joy to be around, or, you know, or is it like you stress them? You know, you're always stressing your partner out, or it seems like your partner's not happy, or it seems like whoever you're with, it ain't. They don't seem to understand how great of a person you are. And I'm saying if that seems to keep repeating, that's another aspect of this self-image, this self-reflection that needs to take place in this reality check. Because if you're not getting the results that you want, that's what this is all about. The results. Some people want to be single and they just say, I'm gonna be single until the day I die. Much love to you. I respect that decision that you decide to make, and you know, I just hope that's what you really want. You understand what I'm saying? Some people say, you know, they want to be married, right? But they're not married. So if you want to be married but you're not married, then you have to start to analyze what it is that you possibly could be doing. Because I actually had a conversation with my nephew right before this broadcast, and he brought up a good point. A common trope amongst women and men there are no good men or women left, right? And then he thought about that, and he said, well, if that was true, we wouldn't even have to separate them, because the fact that you're saying there are no more good men means there are good men that do exist. Or if you're saying there aren't any good women around, that means that there is the existence of good women. It's just for some reason we can't seem to get on the same page. And one thing that I kind of want to, I'm not going to talk that long about, but it's something that I'm not going to say it bothers me, because to be honest with you, I'm married, I'm out. So, you know, when I kind of look and kind of see, it's kind of sort of like being like you retired, like Tom Brady just retired, right? So if it's kind of what they do with Tony Romo. When they bring him on to a broadcast, he's basically showing you like, okay, this is the play they're probably going to run out of that formation. And he kind of seems like he knows what's going to happen before it happens, because he's been there, done that. You know, now he's retired. So it's like I can still go back and analyze what I see and things like this. But there's something that I used to hear all the time from men and women. And I think I'm not going to go too far out on a religious trope for a second, but I think it's something that we kind of need to just throw out the window. When people say that supposedly God is going to send them a person, send them a mate, I find that highly curious, because if you look throughout the entire Bible, I would just ask anybody to give me an example of when God intervened in this sector. Because the one thing the majority of people in the Judeo-Christian umbrella would agree with is God gives us free will. God cannot control another person. That was the reason why, us as human beings are supposed to be special, because we get to make decisions. We're supposed to know right from wrong. But the question is, with the knowledge of right and wrong, will we be able to make right and wrong decisions? So let's keep going. So if we had a free will to make right and wrong decisions, then how could God intervene into a situation to bring a person to you? You understand what I'm saying? Now we can understand now different things can kind of sort of like, it's like a breadcrumb trail, right? Like the breadcrumbs lead to the gingerbread house, and the gingerbread house being that perfect mate. Now we understand how those breadcrumbs work, but from what I've seen, and I'm not here to dispel what somebody has been told, but I have to this day, I've not heard of it. Somebody, a man saying he had a dream and God spoke to him in the dream and said, woman A, this is who you're supposed to be with. And she will be at this place tomorrow at this time. And at the same time, God tells this woman, hey, you supposed to be with man A. You understand what I'm saying? And you need to be at this place tomorrow because I'm sending him there to meet you. Like, I don't see how that's ever gonna happen. You understand what I'm saying? Like, to me, I think that level of intervention kind of sort of goes out of the realm of what basic beliefs should be. So I think that, to me, it's just an excuse, right? You know, when people say like, "Oh, I'm waiting on God to send me somebody," I'm like, well, you're gonna be waiting for a really long time, because once again, you don't want to put yourself in a position where somebody can actually use your faith against you and be like, yeah, you know, God told me I was supposed to be with you. How could you argue with that? So I think that's one of those things that we kind of sort of got to be careful of when we start using a higher power, whatever you believe in spiritually. We got to be very careful with that when we start talking about relationships and things like that, because I would want to know an example where you could give me from whatever book or doctrine you believe in, where simply terms God intervened and made two people connect. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, you gotta look at like with David and Bathsheba. I mean, he had to kill his wife. I mean, he had to kill his husband. I mean, her husband. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I can't say, oh, God wanted David to be with her. You know what I mean? But he just had to kill his husband real quick to make that happen. I'm like, I'm not necessarily going to believe that. But then people could say, oh, well, look at what happened after that. But once again, I'm not trying to go on a long religious trope. You know, it's 2022. I just want people to get the results that they want. The last part that I want to talk about today before I open the phones up, see if anybody want to call in and holler at me real quick, because I'm not going to go long tonight. You know, I'm just trying to get my podcast feet back under me again, because like I said, it's been 2 months. Tomorrow I will be doing Real is Rare TV with Birdie, you know, straight out. So like I said, he back home, so I'm pretty sure he's gonna have a lot of energy. So you can check that out tomorrow. Real is Rare TV, you can subscribe to that on YouTube, and we're gonna be doing that tomorrow. But the last thing I want to talk about real quick is social credit. All right, and social credit is another part of that reality check, right? So let's think about how a credit card works. When you get a credit card, they tell you what? They tell you the limit, they tell you the interest rate, you sign up for it, and that's what you get. And based on how much you spend that credit card, that's how much money or how much your available balance and things like that. And when I say social credit, number one, there's two things about credit. Credit shows you your purchasing power, right? So when I say purchasing power, this is the level of person, supposedly, that, you know, you are able to get a hold of, right? So if you got one of these, you know, some people think that, you know, their social credit is like an American Express black card. There is no limit. I can go from the bottom all the way to the top. There's nobody outside of where I can get. And for some people, that may be true. I just think for the vast majority of us, you know, you got a good, you know, 5, 10, maybe 20, you know, that you can kind of sort of go to. But some people are on the bottom tier and they got like a $250 card where they had to put secure with, you know, some money or something like that. So I think a lot of times it's just about being honest with ourselves and knowing where we fall. That's the first part, knowing what your purchasing power is. When you go into the dating realm, what can you attract? Who can you attract? What type of men and women can you attract? And based on your purchasing power, not just talking about the type of money you make, but it's a metaphor, just kind of sort of knowing where you should fit in. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you might be shooting your shot at the wrong people who probably ain't gonna be where you need them to be. Excuse me. The other part of social credit is going to be your credit history, of course, right? So I know a lot of times they might like to me, you are a representative of everybody that you have chosen to deal with. Anybody you gave the time of day, anybody you've been sexually involved with, anybody that you've dated romantically, they all go on that credit history. It's not saying that every time you enter into a new relationship that next person needs to see that entire history, but for your records, you need to know what your social credit history says about you. If fellas, if you have multiple baby mothers and they are no good whatsoever, and you're complaining about, man, my baby mama ain't no good, she just want me for child support, I don't never get to see my kids, and you have multiple situations like that, that's another one of those reality checks where you got to kind of go back and be like, oh shoot, well maybe there was something that I did wrong. Maybe I'm looking, maybe I'm just too much into the physical, and I'm not really trying to find out what she's like on an emotional level or anything deeper than that. Same thing with the women. Women say, oh, I only date this caliber of men, right? And then they say, I only date this caliber of men, but your social credit history is showing you date the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like something's not matching up. Why is your reality not matching what we have on black and white? And I think a lot of times we want to believe in it, and it's a part of the self-image part. It's a part of self-esteem. You want to believe that your position is higher than it might be in reality. And I think a lot of times we just got to kind of sort of check that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up the phones real quick, and I'm going to see if anybody want to hop in here real quick. Because like I said, I'm not going to be long. Like I said, I can't talk to myself for an hour like I used to. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and open up the phones. If you want to call, I'm going to put the link right here in YouTube. So if you want to, like I said, you don't have to be on camera. You know what I mean? You don't have to be on camera, so it can take you through it. But if you just want to do audio, that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just hope it ain't nobody trolling, because once again, I don't want nobody trying to get my channel take it down. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the phone lines, and I'll be right back. So I'm back. So, like I said, just to kind of sort of do a basic little review. Then, like I said, I'm probably gonna go ahead and ride up out of here, man. If you are out there watching, man, just go ahead and shoot me a comment so I can check and make sure you out there, shout you out, let you know that I appreciate you watching. This is basically what this show was about tonight. Like I said, not gonna hold you long. It was called a social reality check. You understand what I'm saying? The first part that I went over was, what is your self-image, right? How do you view yourself versus how others view yourself? Sometimes there could be something physical, emotional, mental, psychological, whatever. It could be something that you might feel that you're showing the world, but the world is perceiving it in a different manner. So the first part that I talked about was just what is your reality? You understand what I'm saying? What is your self-image? Like, what do you look at? Every time you take a picture, do you have to put a filter on it to feel confident? Do you have to put a bunch of makeup on to feel confident with how your skin looks? It's a lot of different things. You understand what I'm saying? How do you feel? Same thing like with me, when you ain't been to the barber in a little bit. You ain't got your braids redone. You ain't got your dreads retwisted. How confident do you feel when you're not necessarily at your best? And then the second part that I talked about that I just finished up was your social credit. I said your social credit is represented in two ways. Number one being your buying power, right? And what I mean by buying power, that's not about how much money you make. That is basically what level of man or woman can you attract, period. It's not based on anything. Some people could say it'd be based on the money. Some people could say it could be based on your looks. Sometimes it could be based on your intelligence. It just really depends on the person that you're trying to attract. And then I also said that the other part of credit is going to be your history. So you got to understand that your history is going to tell you exactly what you can and cannot pull, the type of men or women that you have a tendency to be with. Also, it's going to kind of show you that your reality of what you believe or who you believe that you should be dating and who you actually get when you date, those two things could kind of sort of cause some issues. So like I said, man, I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. I will be back next week, so I'm gonna start doing this again every week on Tuesday. So I'll be here every night at Tuesday. What else? Like I said, tomorrow you can tune in Like I said, me and that boy Birdie will be doing Real is Rare TV. That starts at 9 p.m. So we'll be doing that. And until next week, if you got any questions, maybe hit me up on Twitter, Facebook. It's at 50 Shades of Saul G on Twitter. Everybody on Facebook who knows me, you already know where I'm at. So until next week, man, y'all have a blessed week.